After that Project 2025 video I published last week, I needed a bit of a palate cleanser. And thankfully, I found one in the form of doing a video where I talk about Amtrak's vision for the future. It's a vision that I think is significantly more optimistic than what the Project 2025 people would have in mind. Granted, the bar is low, as evidenced by the fact that Project 2025 doesn't mention Amtrak once in their playbook. The vision for Amtrak's future is outlined in something called the Amtrak Connects Plan, a plan that outlines where Amtrak hopes to have expanded service, as well as places where they hope to have service that currently doesn't exist. Of note here is that a fully implemented Amtrak Connects plan would bring Amtrak to major cities that they currently don't serve, such as Columbus, Ohio, Las Vegas, Nevada, and Nashville, Tennessee. An implemented Amtrak Connects plan would be great for those cities, as well as many others that would stand to get service. One note about this plan: it would require an extremely pro-passenger rail utopia for this to happen. I say this because Amtrak themselves noted that it would take about $75 billion in funding as of 2021 for this map to become a reality. Amtrak, for the record, got $22 billion in President Biden's infrastructure bill. Significant, but nowhere near enough for this vision to become a reality. So, needless to say, this is a bit of a pipe dream outline for passenger rail in the United States. But while this plan may be a pipe dream in some ways, there are still significant criticisms one can make about the plan. One criticism I have is that there are still some significantly sized cities, albeit no cities the size of a Columbus or a Las Vegas, that would not get Amtrak service even under the Amtrak Connects plan. Some of those cities are Tulsa, Oklahoma, Boise, Idaho, Lexington, Kentucky, and Lubbock, Texas. These are not omissions from Amtrak service anywhere near the magnitude of some of the current omissions. But if the lines in the Amtrak Connects plan came through, I hope for an Amtrak Connects 2.0 that can explore how to bring Amtrak to mid-sized cities such as these. I also saw some criticism of the lack of proposed long-distance lines on the map. There is clearly an emphasis on the shorter distance routes in Amtrak Connects. I don't think that's an oversight on Amtrak's part, for their long-distance routes lose a lot of money. Shorter distance routes, the Northeast Corridor notwithstanding, often have funding from the states, and are typically operating with much more passenger revenue per seat mile and lower operating expenses per seat mile than the long-distance lines. While I question whether the goal should be for Amtrak to make a profit, the fact is that a lot of politicians at least want Amtrak to operate at less of a loss. And, based on the data that exists, the best way to do that is by doubling down on the shorter distance routes, rather than making more long distance routes. One other critique I have of the Amtrak Connects plan is that a lot of its proposed lines I looked up make a lot of use of freight rail trackage. I understand why Amtrak wants to do this. It's because using existing tracks, rather than building new ones, will save money in the process of seeing this plan through. However, as I've said in multiple videos on this channel already, freight rail trains often delay Amtrak trains, so running on freight rail tracks is suboptimal from an Amtrak reliability standpoint. If we are to see some of these lines reach their full potential, there either needs to be strict, consistent enforcement of the law, granting passenger rail priority over freight rail, or else Amtrak needs to start building its own tracks that are separate from freight rail tracks. Maybe the federal government will finally get my message after my bringing this up like 100 million times in this channel's relatively short existence thus far. Even though I feel like I'm spending more time in this video critiquing rather than praising the Amtrak Connects plan, I must emphasize that this vision for Amtrak would make Amtrak worlds better and worlds more useful to millions of Americans than the Amtrak we currently have. And a lot of what makes it better than the current Amtrak is that many cities would see new service, while other cities would see an expansion of current service. I hope that my critiques show that rail advocates should push for this plan to be a starting point in making Amtrak what it should be, rather than a final destination on that journey. And with that is my brief outline of the Amtrak Connects plan. That way, when you hear me talking about Amtrak Connects, you will know what I'm talking about from now on. If you have any thoughts on Amtrak Connects, please leave a comment in the comment section below. Make sure also to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and have a good day.